Welcome back. If you've just joined, this is Guardians of Gaia, and tonight we looked at eco-technology and innovative designs that is so much needed in this crisis. Now, despite what the media might say, there are actually more cigarette butts than plastic straws in our ocean. In fact, there are more cigarette butts than any kind of plastic. According to statistics, by 2035, we may see more cigarette butts than fish in our ocean. We talked to Adam van Wyngaarden, CEO and founder of Smokey Treats, as he walks us through South Africa's and the world's first biodegradable cigarette.
75% of smokers have confessed to throwing their butt on the ground when they're done smoking it. And that cigarette butt really doesn't just stay there. So in fact, over a period of about 2 to 15 years, the UV rays from the sun break down that plastic filter into loads of tiny little fibers called microplastic. And that microplastic is washed down into our water systems when it rains, and then eventually into the rivers and the oceans. And in the oceans, it wreaks havoc. It's much worse than the whole plastic straw problem. I think microplastic emanating from cigarette butts are found in something like 70% of seabirds and 30% of turtles. And once it gets in there and starts to poison the ecosystem from the bottom up, eventually it gets back to us. So essentially, if you eat fish, you eat plastic. It's been found in beer and all sorts of other things, but it really is a very big problem. Sure. Well, I think we're actually really quite far away from that point, considering that Woodland Craft Cigarettes is the world's first biodegradable cigarette product. And, that was only launched at the end of 2018. It really is quite staggering when you think about it, that cigarettes have had plastic filters in them since about the 1950s, and that was to address rising concern around the health impacts of cigarettes. But of course, it's been found that plastic filters really don't make smoking any safer. So why they're still around, no one really knows. I think it's mostly an aesthetic thing or something like that, but there certainly is no real need for them. So as soon as the consumer wakes up to this fact, and governments start really playing their part in this whole thing, hopefully we should see more biodegradable cigarette products coming onto the market. Well, I'm Adam from Wyngaarden, the CEO of Smokey Treats. And Smokey Treats came about in 2015 when my co-founder, or then mates, and I were walking around UCT, where we were studying at the time. And we noticed just how many cigarette butts they were littering the ground. And I think, like most smokers, I think they think that cigarette butts are made out of cork or cotton or something like that. But after doing a quick Google search, we found out that they're in fact made out of plastic, and that they're the most littered item in the world. So we did a bit more digging. We found out that there's typically about 600 artificial additives sprayed onto cigarette tobacco while it's being made. And the cigarette paper, so what's wrapped around the tobacco, is often bleached with chlorine or other harmful chemicals. Our filter is made out of wood pulp. It's almost like a pencil shaving that's been compressed. So that means that it's entirely biodegradable. So it takes about 3 months, roughly, depending on environmental conditions, to biodegrade. But the point is that it does biodegrade, of course, rather than a plastic one. It is tobacco. As I said, we don't put any of the additives in it, so it is a bit different. The taste is a little bit different, you know. And our product is something that's always being improved on. It is really fantastic now, if you ask me, particularly, you know, from where we started about 2 years ago. But it'll only get better as well, and you know, we'll constantly try and improve the product to meet consumers' expectations, but so far it really has gone down really well, and people seem to really enjoy it.
It's clear that something now needs to change. The old way of doing things is simply not working and will not in a couple of years. The crisis is asking us to remain open to change for all of our survival. The call to action, if you or someone you know are actively doing your part against the fight to climate change, or if you wish us to come and talk about a very specific environmental issue in your community, then please email us at gog@capetowntv.org. Well, I'm Megan Edwards, and that's it for Guardians of Gaia this evening. Remember, nobody can do everything, but everyone can do something. Good night.